Hey guys, welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. It's September 20th, 2025. And of course, I'm here with Elijah Weintraub, my co host. And Eli, how's your collegiate life going?
Well, it's going good and it's pretty good everything in college and it's a great day weather-wise here in Jersey, a great weekend ahead and a great weekend in sports. You have hockey returning tomorrow with preseason. You have the NFL loading up in week 3. College football is going and the MLB is almost near the end. So it's exciting stuff. And of course, the WNBA in the playoff semifinals begin tomorrow. So much to talk about. Let's kick it off with the monologue sponsored by Coriano Trucking of Summerhill, New York.
And Eli, I'm glad this is, as you brought it up, hockey season, believe it or not, is almost upon us. So you have the
Easy.
monologues, so bring it on.
All right, and as we know, hockey season is officially back. Training camp is underway. Preseason games begin tomorrow. But I want to focus on the New Jersey Devils, a team I'm currently wearing right now, because they're without one major player by the name of Luke Hughes. Luke Hughes is currently an unsigned restricted free agent at the moment as he waits for a contract to hopefully come through by the New Jersey Devils. Therefore, he has not been practicing in any of the preseason action this week. GM Tom Fitzgerald said the other day to the media that this is all part of the process and we're grinding through this together and respecting each other's opinions, but this is a part of the process. We're disappointed he's not here, and so is he, Tom Fitzgerald said to the media. Luke Hughes is the brother of Jack Hughes and has played a tremendous part to this Devils team and has improved tremendously on the defensive side of things. And he is a key player that the Devils definitely need back on their bench. I think the Devils would be very dumb to not re-sign him. I think he's such a crucial player that they need him back. He's young and he has a lot of potential. And speaking of the other Hughes brother, Jack Hughes, yeah, he's back on the team. No contract issues to worry about, but there is something that we need to be concerned of. Can he stay healthy this year? There is always question that he's always unhealthy, and that's kind of the reason why the Devils slack off towards the end season run. And we don't have this fantastic run that we should be seeing with this New Jersey Devils team. And I think if he does get injured again, he does miss time for the playoffs. If this were to happen again, I think the Devils need to be questioning a lot of things about Jack Hughes because this is a constant problem. Always hurt, and not delivering when it comes time when matters most, especially in the postseason run and the final games heading into the clinching spot. So we'll just have to wait and see and how Jack Hughes performs this season. And for Luke Hughes, we really need him back on the bench for the New Jersey Devils. Training camp is underway. The first preseason game for the Devils is tomorrow as they take on the Rangers at 7 o'clock. And let's hope that Luke is back on this New Jersey Devils team soon because it'll be a crucial miss if he's not back.
Yep. Okay, that's good because we do love hockey. We talk about it. So this is just there's so many other things going on. It kind of gets lost. And we're looking. We have back-to-back Stanley Cups for the Florida Panthers. Can they three-peat? We got all of these intrigues. And I will say this from the New York Rangers perspective. I haven't seen them do a heck of a lot to
No,
improve this team. So um, this could be a long season for the Rangers if they don't turn this around.
no question.
Because the expectations the past couple of years, all the guys are gone, right? Trouba's gone and Kreider's gone and all this other stuff. But let's see if Chris Drew we could pull some a rabbit out of the hat and get some players to make this a competitive year for the Rangers. We'll
No
see.
question. Let's take a look now. William says hello and good morning. Thank you for tuning in once again.
Thank you, William.
Now let us go now to some college football. Is
Yep.
where we will go from there, and we have a loaded set of games today. There's so much action going on today. There's a lot of big games. We're going to go through some of our best games of the week to watch out for.
Yep.
I'll start off with the 12 o'clock window. There's 4 big games going on at the 4 o'clock window. Texas Tech at Utah, that's on Fox, which is the Fox game. ABC has Arkansas, Memphis. NBC has Maryland, Wisconsin, which could be a pretty good game. And then you
Yeah.
have on ESPN Syracuse and Clemson, which is another big game. 4 great games
Yeah.
to start off the 12 o'clock window so far.
And I see, on the schedule, and I want to do a little recap from last week after we talk about the games today. I got some really interesting games. You see, Michigan, Nebraska, another Big Ten thing. Florida, Miami. That's where game day
Today,
is,
yeah.
you know. Um, but I think the most intriguing game for me this week, Eli, and this is gonna go to our Indiana Hoosier fans,
I know.
Derek and Tom Pugh,
Oh yeah.
but they finally got a big test, and Illinois is in the top 10 now in the rankings. So this is a big game, and we're going to find out whether or not Indiana is for real or if last year was just a one and done. Very important game today. Looking
I think that they are a for real team. I mean, they put up 73 points last week, and that goes to
against
show you.
Indiana State, though.
I understand that, but I think if they're able to put up that many points and not just like a low scoring game, even though it's Indiana State, that's a
Yep,
sign that they are a team to watch out for. And I think this is a big game. That game's tonight, 7:30 ABC on NBC. So that'll be a good game to watch out for. And I
yep,
think there's some potential for Indiana. Two other games I want to take note of: Auburn, Oklahoma at 3:30 on ABC, and Temple versus Georgia Tech 4:30 on the CW, or Pix 11 for us here in the Jersey, New York area. That's a great
yep.
game to watch out for as well.
Yeah, well, last week I actually picked Georgia Tech over Clemson, so that's why this game today for Dabo Sweeney and Clemson against Syracuse has been playing very well. By the
Oh
way,
yeah.
with the led by Steve Angeli, former Bergen Catholic quarterback. So I've seen him play in high school, and Fran Brown, the new coach, has really changed the dynamic of that program. But they got some tough games coming up. But Clemson, like I said, if they can't beat Syracuse, then there is real problems down in Death Valley. That's
No
for sure.
question. Brandon comments. He said Nebraska today with a win sets up nicely.
Yeah, that's a big ask though. But you know, Michigan starting to look pretty good. They feel comfortable with Bryce Underwood and so forth, Brendan. So yeah, that is an outstanding game. And I just wanted to kind of recap a couple of the games last week. The Georgia Tennessee game, outstanding. What a
No
game!
question.
What a great game.
That was awesome.
Right, and Notre Dame, of course. Remember, I said this could be a trap game. Texas
Yeah.
A&M coming in, and the quarterback is playing very well for Texas A&M, and what an outstanding football game it was. But Notre Dame is now 0-2, and just barely hanging on in the top 25. So this is a big week for Notre Dame as well.
Uh,
And
one more comment we have. Who is the surprise team that will win today? Orange William says. Williams.
well, and I mean, I'm going to stick with this because I said my surprise team this year would be Illinois. So I think,
They're gonna
like
upset.
I said, the Indiana fans, and Indiana's got a good quarterback. They got a lot of players from the transfer portal, so they're an outstanding football team. But I think the surprise here would be if Illinois can go in and knock them off, and
Wow.
that's what I'm looking for today.
Very good. Wow.
Not rooting against the
No, of
Hoosiers,
course,
of course.
absolutely. But that's a big upset. Yeah.
That would offend a couple of our loyal
Well, of
listeners,
course,
which
and
we
we don't
don't
want
want
that.
to do.
No, absolutely
Don't
not.
want to do. But yeah, and that was that Georgia Tech team, they're for real as well. So I'm glad you brought that up, that they have a big game today as well.
Absolutely. Well, let's
So
switch gears now to the NFL. I think.
okay, and let's
And I
kind of maybe let's kind of recap what we saw
yeah.
last week, right? And the
What?
Giants Cowboys game was really an
Yeah.
exciting game. It started off almost unbelievable where they got one guy who's filling in for Andrew Thomas, this kid James Hudson. It was almost like he never played the position before. And like I said, I got to put this on Brian Dable and Joe Shane. You
Of course.
you you have got to find players anywhere in the practice squads of other teams that have discipline and actually have a knowledge of the game. You never saw one player have 4 penalties on the opening drive in the history of the National Football League. So, it looked like Russell Wilson and he did have a great game until the overtime. But how about this field goal kicker, Brandon Aubrey for
Oh
Dallas?
yeah.
I mean, Eli, that kick could have been good for from 72 yards, and it was.
100%. But hey,
I
you know
mean,
what though? The kicking so far this year has been phenomenal in the NFL. I mean, just look at the preseason run with Jacksonville in that Miami Jacksonville game in I believe it was week 3, if I'm not mistaken. It was a
yep,
perfect kick, almost 70 yards. Would have been a record if it wasn't the preseason. But just to show you that the kicking is really improving though, and that is something awesome to believe. And for the Giants though, yeah, I think you have the offensive line. That's the biggest problem. But Russell Wilson throws one phenomenal throw to Neighbors, and then the next, it's an interception that pretty much costs the game. It's a
yeah,
little annoying, and I think the Giants have to like think about their decision after this week with Kansas City tomorrow, if whether or not Russell Wilson can help bring this team far or
yeah,
not.
yeah. That's the question. Everyone's just sitting here waiting, because week 1 didn't go so well. We go, oh boy, this is now. Russell Wilson's not the same guy, but he had a great game last week, and yeah, the interception. He could have handled that a little better, but that was a good game, and so how about the New York Jets, right? Everyone thought, after week 1 they had a
Yeah.
really outstanding game, and then they come out and just get, you know,
But we kind
steamrolled.
of expected that though. I mean,
Yeah,
everybody going into the game though realized though this is the Buffalo Bills team. You're gonna no, they understand you're gonna lose that game. There was no question they were gonna lose that game, but the performance, so 30-10, was a little disappointing.
yeah, I
And
know.
another big storyline I want to bring up that just that affects the Jets and a couple other teams is the quarterback injuries heading into week 3. There's
Oh,
5 quarterbacks injured already that are main quarterbacks. You have Jaden Daniels in the Commanders, Joe Burrow in the Bengals, JJ McCarthy in the Vikings, Justin Fields in the Jets, and Brock Purdy for the 49ers. 5 quarterbacks, top teams, top guys injured. And it's really insane to see. And Bengals Vikings, that's one of the better games, as you will. That was supposed to be one of the better games to watch out for in the 1 o'clock window this
yeah,
week. Might not be the best game now because you have 2 backups coming in and pretty
yep.
much a unhealthy team, so to speak.
And Eli, it's really a shame because I've talked about Joe Burrow and his burning desire to win a Super Bowl, just like Josh Allen kind of thing.
Right.
And of course, boom, second game of the season, he goes out with a toe injury, probably going to miss 3 months. So that's um, I, I I feel bad for the guy, but he has this kind of black cloud over him that
Injury
just
prone.
continues
That's the
to
problem.
happen. And when we talk about guys that are injury prone, there's really not a lot you could do about it. But it's so funny how sometimes it happens to the same players over and over again, and that
It's
all
kind
the
of
hopes
sad,
I
but
think
it's true though.
but I think all the hopes that Cincinnati had, Jake Browning's, he's kind of an experienced guy. He's played, but he's not Joe Burrow, and
Right.
that's gonna hurt them for the rest of the way. That was my
Uh,
kind of surprise team this year too.
Eric comments. He says, "Good morning to all. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday too, and thanks for tuning in, Eric."
Yes,
Uh,
sir, Eric. Thank you.
and another speaking about injury prone, the Dolphins. I think Miami Tua Tagovailoa. They lose another game again, 33-27 to the Patriots. Although they put up pretty good numbers, there's some still questions to watch out for another injury prone guy of Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, the whole situation in Miami that's going on is kind of a mess. 2 years ago, Mike McDaniel was the front page
The face,
news,
right?
and now they look terrible. They look
They do.
terrible.
They do.
Uh,
And there's no question.
yeah. So all
Um,
right, we covered last week's games, and like I said,
and the one
go
last
ahead.
note I want to bring up: Falcons have named Parker Romo as their starting kicker for the Falcons this week. The Falcons are set to play the Panthers tomorrow at 1 o'clock, so they'll have a backup kicker, as you will in.
Yeah, because the other guy missed the field goal that would have won the game for him, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, let's
And
go to some
I
picks
yeah.
and let's take a look at that standings chart. That's
I
showing.
knew he was going to bring it
Okay,
in.
of course I
I
have to
knew.
bring it in. 6-2 is the record where I stand. Jim at 3-5. Last week Jim went 1-2 on picks. I went 2-1 on the picks for our 3 games
You
of the
did.
week.
You
So
did.
I'm gonna hope I continue to stay and keep that crown. And we're gonna pick some really good games. Maybe some cupcakes on the Jim side. But we will get to that in just a
Hey,
second.
you're right. I will give you your due right now. You are ahead of me, but don't get comfortable. Don't.
I'm not. Absolutely not. No,
Long way to go, Eli.
no
Long way to go.
question. No question.
All
Long
right.
two.
So why don't you start off with your picks first this
Okay.
week?
Well, I'm going to go with some three tough games. I'm going to start off with Raiders Commanders. That's at 1 o'clock on Fox. Well, Jaden Daniels is injured for the Commanders. So we know this is not going to be the same old Commanders that we're used to seeing week after week. But the Raiders, keep in mind, they did not look great last week in terms of points, but they did win in week one. And I think with
Yeah.
the injuries that Commanders are going through, I think, and I won't be surprised that we see an upset. For those reasons, for my upset pick, I'm going to go with the Raiders to win this game 28-24.
Ooh.
And I think that has to do with the injury a lot.
Well, yeah. And when you think about Washington, I mean, Marcus Mariota has been a quarterback in this league,
No
so he's
question.
kind of he's a better than average backup. So, but I think when I watched a couple of the the Commanders
Commanders.
games, yep, it's their defense that impressed me, and in particular this kid Pine for on the defensive line. He's really he showed
Oh,
how
yeah.
what a player he is. So they're in, I think they're in good shape. And okay, Las Vegas, but the question, of course, is
Is
Geno
Geno
Smith
Smith
the
the
answer?
quarterback? Yeah. Well,
Everywhere
that's
he
always the
goes, the
question.
question is so. And I do believe this. Ashton Jeanty is.
Genty.
Genty. He's going to be a real good running back in this league. He's kind
No
of
question.
small, but he's really strong, and that should be an interesting. I think they're going to need somebody like him, to take a little bit of the pressure off of Geno Smith to win the game with his arm, because we've seen time and time again. Sometimes that works out, and sometimes it doesn't.
It
Yep.
does not. Absolutely. Well,
Okay.
let's go to our next game. The Rams and the Eagles is my next pick. It's a great game. You have a 2-0 Eagles team and a 1-1 Rams team right now heading into week number 3.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm a big fan of this Rams team to say that, you know what, I think they're going to win the game. I love this Philadelphia team. They played phenomenal not phenomenal. They played great versus and got the win for Kansas City last week. And week 1, there was some issues, but they won the game. And I think it's been another close game, and the Eagles win. Eagles 26-23.
Yeah, it's kind of a rematch of, was it the championships game
The
last
NFC, championship,
year? Yeah.
Last game, going with Monday Night Football, one of the best games of the week by far. Lions Ravens on Monday night. It's going to be a really good game. I think the Lions, they need to really redeem themselves. I mean, it's been after that week 1 game, it wasn't fun. Yeah, they won last week, but we want to talk about like a competitive game and team. And
Yeah.
this is a big test for this Lions team. But I like
Well,
this Ravens team. I think Lamar Jackson can do it. So I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens to win that game 26-23. My picks are Raiders, Eagles, and Ravens to win in my 3 games.
yeah, and listen, there's no question that Lamar Jackson is certainly a threat. He's a 2-time MVP, and yeah, they should be one of the favorites along. But I think the Buffalo Bills are a really strong team offensively, and
Mm.
Josh Allen is showing me incredible leadership on that team, and it's going to end up in the end, because right now a lot of people are talking, and Kansas City's coming into Giant Stadium, tomorrow night, and
Yeah.
a lot of people are starting to say, there's a lot of holes with the Kansas City Chiefs, so they may
Question.
not be the
The
relevant
team.
team that they have been for the past 6-7 years. But Patrick Mahomes, he's never lost 3 straight games in one season.
And I
So
don't
he's
think he's
lost.
going to do that with the Giants either.
Yeah, I think so too. He redeems himself very well. But that's a great game, because Eli, a lot of people after week 1, were questioning whether or not it was all Ben Johnson and so forth with the Lions, and
Oh, yeah.
because Jared Goff was having that year because of him, but he came right out, and yeah, they beat a substandard Chicago Bears team, but that's what you're supposed to do. So yeah, that's an interesting game. Good thing I don't have to pick that one. So I have three other
Well,
ones.
I mean, you should be picking these tough games. I mean, this is what the fans want to see. They don't want to see cupcake games that it's obvious that they're going to win unless you pick some weird upset, which I'll be very shocked if you do. I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So, but you're right. These injuries at quarterback across the league is something to be concerned about for
No
sure.
question.
But my first game is Green Bay at Cleveland. Now, listen, I know it sounds cupcakeish, but Joe Flacco, everyone was like, all on board after week one. He had a great game. But remember, Joe Flacco is 40 years old. He's not the answer. Cleveland Browns are not a good football team, but Green Bay is starting to perform, and like I said, with the Micah Parsons trade, they're relevant, in the conversation for, potential Super Bowls. But I don't think they're there
Right.
just yet. I think it's going to take some time for Parsons to settle in. But I'm going to take Green Bay over Cleveland because it just doesn't seem that Cleveland has anything other than Myles Garrett. So,
Mhm.
and then the second game, and you brought this up because now Burrow is hurt and now McCarthy is hurt. So you're going with Carson Wentz for the Vikings and Jake Browning for the Cincinnati. So it kind of turns into more of an interesting game. But I look for Minnesota to bounce back and win at home because they have a really good defense. Jake Browning is susceptible to throwing some picks, but I like Minnesota in game two. And I'm going with your Seattle Seahawks against because I'm looking at the New Orleans Saints, and I think at some point in time they have a quarterback decision to make. Does they go with this their number one draft pick, Tyler Shuck, or do they stick with Spencer Rattler? And I'm not anywhere near impressed with Spencer Rattler. So I think if he's going to be the future of the Saints, you got to make that change right now. But I think Seattle is good enough. I think Sam Darnold is really starting to, I dare I say, mature. I mean, he's been in the league for 7 years maybe. But I like Seattle, so I have Green Bay, Minnesota, Seattle. So I'm looking to pick up some ground on the crown chase for me and you.
Well, Andrew comments and he says, "Come on, Jim, save the cupcakes for the birthday parties."
Well, you fed them the cupcake line. I was
well,
going to use
well,
that.
I'm just being quite honest with you. I mean, Seattle. I mean, Saints. Come on, really, Jim? And then you have Packers. Brown. Come on. I mean, Bengals Vikings might be your only game that is not a cupcake, so to speak. Really, come on. And then you have
Fair
me.
enough.
I got three good games. We
I
gotta pay.
gotta
We gotta.
re
We gotta
I
get our
gotta
policy
regroup.
straight.
I
Yeah,
gotta
but we gotta get the
I
policy
need to
straight. The
win.
fans want to see what is your crazy take on the crazy games, not obvious picks. Packers, Browns. Come on. Thank you, Andrew, for the comment. I really appreciate that one.
Yeah,
Favorite
thanks,
comment of the
Andrew.
year.
What a true pal, Andrew. Thank you. Okay. All right,
well,
Eli. So let's
let's go to
move to
some
Major
baseball.
League Baseball, right? And we got a lot of, we're down to the wire, 10, 12 games left.
Right.
And I've talked about it before, right? I think we have very close division races, right? So the Yankees and so forth, they don't seem to be able to pick up a lot of ground, but they're only 3 games behind Toronto. But I think Boston is going to be the one they're going to have to battle this out to get there. But the Yankees are just fine. I think
They'll be
they'll
in.
they'll be in. They're making the playoffs. And as far as the Mets go, now a lot of people have just kind of thrown them. When they lost 8 games, but now they bounced back and won like 4 out of 5. Soto is red hot. Alonso's red hot, and they have these two pitchers. These young kids, McLean and what's the other guy, Stroud or
Right. Yeah.
yeah, whatever. I never get his name right. But they got 2 young pitchers that are playing well. Now, down the stretch, we're going to find out. But a lot of people were panicking and throwing the Mets. The Mets are going to the playoffs, and anything can happen in the playoffs. So we'll see about that. But we look at the Dodgers. They kind of faltered a little bit over the past couple of weeks. and they let San Diego take over that division. But now, San Diego always down the stretch, never seems to come through. And the Dodgers are still a very formidable team, and they're up 3 games to none. But I think the best team right now, on paper, or at least the way that they're playing, is the Milwaukee
Milwaukee
Brewers. They've
Brewers.
already clinched. Um, so baseball, like I said,
It's down to the final stretch, and we'll know the full results
yep,
by next Sunday. Will be the last day for regular season play.
yep,
But the Yankees are going to make it. The Mets, they're up and down right now, and it's going to be interesting road, especially as they head to the playoff run, as you will, because they're likely going to make it. And what happens next?
yeah.
That's
With
gonna be some
there's
questions.
some good intrigue though in with the American League West with the Houston Astros and the Seattle Mariners. And what makes it
Yeah.
intriguing is the whole Cal Raleigh thing, who hit his
Oh yeah.
54th home run. So, he's having an MVP type season. But that's a good match to watch down the stretch. So there's a lot of wide open things. But I think if you look at it overall from the American League, I think the Yankees have a better chance to go deep into the playoffs than the Mets, because I think the National League is a lot tougher. I don't think Detroit, outside of Skubal, who'll get probably 2 starts or something. I'm just not thinking that they're the team. And yeah, I know the Yankees have struggled with Houston, but I don't think Houston is the team that they once were either. So I think the path is a little easier, not
Right.
easy, but easier than the Mets in the National League, because you got the Dodgers and you got the Brewers and even the Cubs to some extent, and the
That's true.
Phillies. So 10
Uh,
games, 10 games to
10
go.
games
Yep.
left.
Yep.
Well, one note from the MLB Dodgers: Clayton Kershaw will retire after this upcoming season after
Ah,
18 years in the MLB.
yes. And he started last night, his final start in the regular season at least.
At
And
least, yeah.
I looked at his statistics, and he is, for sure. And I've talked about this before.
No
I've always
question.
admired the guy, and he's definitely a first ballot Hall of Famer.
No question.
Yeah, so I was going to bring that up actually.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But look, couple of accolades for him: 3 Cy Young awards, 1 MVP, World
Wow.
Series win, career 2.54, which is rare these
Impressive.
days to have, below a 3 ERA. Career 222 wins and 96 losses. He's
No
going to the Hall
question.
of
Hall
Fame.
of Famer. No
You
question.
bet. You bet.
Uh,
Okay, Eli, one other thing before we move on to random points of interest. So,
okay.
from a golf perspective, right, the
All right.
Ryder Cup starts this week, and
Mhm.
the excitement is building, and it's at a great venue in Long Island. And it's really really exciting. To be honest with you, I think it's more exciting than the FedEx Cup.
Mhm.
Um, but you have guys like Scheffler and that. But you have to wonder the atmosphere out in Long Island. These are New York fans. I hope they handle themselves with a little bit of class and
Nice. Right.
dignity, but and sportsmanship kind of thing. Because listen, the Europeans, when it's on their home turf, they ride the Americans, so it's now
No
wide
question.
open. But I can't wait for this to happen. So it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and they'll be competing with the NFL next Sunday. So
Well, I
unless
mean,
you're a
anything during the
diehard
NFL
fan,
season.
yeah, I know, but I think I could probably bypass watching the New
The Giants
Orleans
and the
Saints
Jets.
if the Ryder Cup is on.
Well,
So,
that's fair enough.
yeah, but
Um,
it's a very very exciting thing. I'm looking forward to that.
well, let's go to the WNBA real quick before we move on to the random points segment. And with that, round one of the playoffs has come to a close. Unfortunately, the New York Liberty will not be repeating the champ run, as they've been eliminated last night, along with the Dream, the Storm, and 3 games, and the Valkyries after 2 games. But got to give
Okay.
credit to the Valkyries, though. First year team, they made the playoffs. Although they're eliminated, they had one heck of a run to say that they're an expansion team right away in the playoffs. So congrats to them. That Dream Fever game in Game 3 the other day was awesome to watch. I mean, the fouls were crazy. Final shots came down at the end. Indiana won the game, and with all the injuries, I'm very shocked to see Indiana move on. They're going to be playing a tough Las Vegas team tomorrow, 3 o'clock on ABC as the semifinals begin. And Phoenix
Mm-hmm.
will take on the Lynx team. The Lynx are a very powerful team. Tomorrow, 5 o'clock on ESPN. Game 2 will be on Tuesday. Remember, round 2, the semifinals are best of 5 games. So we'll just have to wait and see. My picks, though, will be Las Vegas and the Lynx to move on to the next round. So we will have to just wait and see. Disappointing again for the Liberty and the Dream, but it should be an exciting playoff run as we head into round 2, the semifinals starting tomorrow.
Okay, I know you're a WNBA guy, so I appreciate the updates. If you guys have comments or regarding the WNBA or anything, send us an email and
Or let us know in the
we'll
comments now.
talk about it. And yeah, Eli,
Absolutely. I mean, with that,
move
let's
on
move
to random.
the points.
Yep,
Sponsored by
And
Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut.
you bet. And all right, I got a couple of things. Like I said, I just mentioned the Ryder Cup, but Scotty Scheffler came like out of nowhere last week to win the tournament. So going in for the United States with this guy hot as a firecracker, that bodes well for the Americans, even though the Europeans have a great lineup to go against them. But I'm, like I said, obviously pulling for the U.S., but I'm pulling more for Keegan Bradley because I like the guy, I like his fire, and I like the fact that he didn't pick himself to be a playing captain. So can't wait for that to happen.
Oh, yeah.
And Eli, we talked about this before, cupcake games, and in particular in college football. But we're seeing this. I just wonder what the benefit is. I think if now that you've expanded to 12 teams, right, for the playoffs,
Right.
is it really necessary for Indiana to play Indiana State and win 73-0, or taking teams like LSU playing Louisiana, and these games, they just become incredible. Ohio State, 60-0 over Ohio University. I don't think it benefits college football at all.
No,
by having these kind of lopsided games. I'd
it
love
really
to
is.
see, now that we have a 12 paint, you got to earn every bit of it, and winning against Ohio University from the number 1 team doesn't really add anything for me, at least. So I don't know. I don't understand the rationale behind it, and I think maybe we ought to kind of take a look at that and see if these unbalanced games are really, really even necessary.
I 1000% agree with that. I mean, the entire college football landscape and the schedule is confusing in itself. One week you play a team where it comes down to the wire into the final seconds. The other week it is 100-0. It really is. I don't understand the formatting. And then because you win the 100-0 game, you are the number 1 ranked team. I don't understand that at all. I think really college football should be based off of tough team versus tough team, playoff versus playoff, and not, okay, Indiana versus Indiana State, unless it's a big rivalry that's been known in college football, and it just so happened, that this game just turned out to be 73-0. But I don't understand this formatting at all. I think that's something that college football needs to change, no question. They've done a phenomenal job, I think, changing the playoffs, except the whole bye system. But other than that, I think that is just one major thing that they have to change.
Yeah, I agree. So I actually did go last night to the Rutgers, Iowa game. And just a couple of quick notes regarding this. It's a wonderful facility. The stadium
of course,
is very
absolutely
nice. And they had a record crowd actually for SHI Stadium at Rutgers last night. And I wanted to thank Anthony and Ted for inviting me to the game, meeting some of their family and friends. It's kind of it's tough to get out of the parking lot after the game. And I wish they started the game at 7:00 rather than 8:00, because the game wasn't over until 11:30. So that means I didn't get home until 1:00 in the morning. So,
well, party here, Jim.
But I will give a little bit of credit to Greg Schiano. It seems like he's starting to, even though I don't think they can compete on the level with Ohio State and Penn State, but I think he's really made some progress. They got a lot of good talent on that roster. And Iowa's,
Oh yeah,
Big Ten. They they're not the powerhouse that they once were, but this was a really good football game, and it was 38-28. It was very close for most of the game, but very nice job. Like I said, the stadium was nice, and I know they got Penn State coming into play uh, at home for Rutgers. So they're kind of holding their own. I was really impressed with the way they battled, and it started off. They let Iowa score. They returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown,
right.
so that kind of put them in a hole. But they battled back. It was very good. And one
Uh,
other quick note: I just saw. I always like those things. This day in history, right? And
yeah, of course, I love that. Yeah,
coming off tennis, and we just finished up the U.S. Open, but it was this day in history, 1973. It was the Bobby Riggs versus Billie Jean King one-on-one match, and Bobby Riggs, the male chauvinist, said women couldn't compete with men. Now, remember, these were old. Bobby Riggs was probably in his 60s at the time, but Billie Jean King wiped the court with him. So, but that was an interesting thing because I remember that, and I think they played that in the Houston Astrodome. But can't believe it was over 50 years ago. Amazing.
wow. We do have a couple comments I want to get to real quick. Andrew says the lopsided college matchups help fund lower level programs. Fair enough. And Bobby from Surge Sports says, I made $246 on a parlay betting against Rutgers. Good for you.
Well, listen, to that point, Rob, we are so inundated with this gambling stuff, this commercials all the time, and it's driving me nuts. Now you have broadcasters during the game giving lines on whether
why not?
Aaron Judge is
Just
going to
go
hit
for
a
it.
home run. It has gotten out of hand. And the advertising for this, it's so deceiving. Like bet $5 and get $300 in credits. Well, read the fine print. And, they're in the business to win this. My position on sports gambling.
Oh, we know, yeah.
It has gotten to a point where they're just throwing it at every venue, every sport. They just keep talking about it. And it drives me nuts.
It's a way to make money, I guess, for people. But and it's entertaining because then I guess you could say that maybe it tells the viewer, okay, well, now I could actually sit there and watch the game. If I made this bet, I want to take a look. Do they actually win the game? Did my parlay go through? I guess you could say it's better for viewership wise, as you will.
Okay,
that's pretty good, I guess.
I guess. Well,
all right.
Bobby won his parlay against Rutgers. Let's
congrats.
see what he does next week.
All right. Anything else you have, or
nope? You go
ahead.
All right,
then. Let's go ahead and begin with this. The Los Angeles Kings captain, Anze Kopitar, set to retire after this season. He has been in the league for 20 seasons. So
it's
a pretty big.
These hockey players are amazing. He's got a couple Stanley Cups, so good for him. 20 years, long run.
Yeah. Before I continue, Diego checks in and says, hello, Diego.
Yeah. He's waiting for the World Cup to start.
Oh, I know. Who isn't? Molly Kurum has decided to leave ESPN's First Take after many years with the company and as host of the popular morning show.
Yeah, it was kind of abrupt, though. So
I know, just like all of a sudden, it's like, whoa, hello.
I wonder if there's a backstory there or something.
There is a bunch of backstories, but we won't get into it. The Masters is set to go to Prime Video. Thursday and Fridays, 1 to 3 p.m. coverage will be exclusive to Prime Video. Then the rest of the day goes to ESPN. Saturday and Sunday will remain with CBS.
Wow, that is big news. I didn't hear that, actually. Wow.
Yeah, so Thursday and Fridays, 1 to 3 o'clock coverage goes to Prime Video. Then it goes to ESPN for the rest of the night. Then Saturday and Sunday remains with CBS. No effect to Prime or nothing like that. But yeah.
Wow.
Well, on TV tomorrow night at 8 o'clock on CBS, you have a Grammy salute to Earth, Wind, and Fire, the 21st night of September. Of course, that iconic song. And on ABC at the same time, it's a special 2020 episode for Disneyland's 70th anniversary. And the final note, a success for the Emmys last week, seeing over 7.4 million views on CBS. Some of the big winners: The Studio, which is on Apple TV+, Adolescence on Netflix, The Penguin on HBO Max, The Pit on HBO Max, and an honorable mention to The Severance. Another big win in the Emmys, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert took home an Emmy, saw a standing ovation. Congrats to him on that one. And the other big win was 15-year-old Owen Cooper, who made his acting debut in adolescence. He becomes the youngest male actor ever to win an Emmy. So congrats to him on that big Emmy win. And I thought the funniest part of the whole Emmy show was Nate Bargatze, who said he will donate $100,000 to the Boys and Girls Club of America. And if you stay under 45 seconds during your speech time, we will add money to the $100,000. Every time you go over every second, $1,000 goes off the $100,000, taking away from his donation to charity. At the end, they were in the negatives, so that wasn't good. But at the end, CBS and Nate decided to both donate $350,000 to the Boys and Girls Club. So that was pretty awesome to see. But a great show overall. And I got to start watching this adolescent show now. I mean, I heard it's been really good. They won a lot of Emmys. So I got to start watching some shows now.
Well, of the 7.4 million people that watched it, I was not one of them. So.
Well, I kind of figured that one. I mean, but I was one of them. And I was happy to say it was a really good show.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think now it's time to move on to some photos and food. That is sponsored by Vital Selection. Scan the QR code to learn more.
Well,
Jim,
it doesn't have to be food. The recommendation could be whatever we want.
Okay. Yeah. Right? Whatever. Yeah. Absolutely.
So I have one. You know, as fall starts to creep in the Northeast, you know, I'm a big guy who I like flowers, right?
Okay.
And I had planted. You know, if you have an opportunity, and I planted a rose bush in memory of my mother, and I planted one in memory of my neighbor's wife, and roses. I just love them. Like they bloom twice. So, you know, early in the spring they come up, and then you go through the dog days of summer, and now when it gets cool again, my roses are flourishing, and I love it. I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm going with the food pick for this week. I'm not doing flowers. I'm a big ice cream guy, so I'm going to go with Dairy Queen. Can't go wrong with Dairy Queen.
Yeah, I used to love Dairy Queen. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's take a look at some pictures.
Yeah, check this out. So we keep talking about the Savannah Bananas and the Phenom. So here's my grandson and granddaughter at the Savannah Bananas game in Yankee Stadium, and that was
sold out.
That's my great granddaughter's 8th birthday as well. So there she is with my two grandsons. They had a wonderful time there, and yeah, this was sold out.
Sold out, which is incredible.
Crazy, yeah.
That's all. I mean, to sell Yankee Stadium is hard enough if it's not the Yankees in itself, and to do that is incredible. And it was entertaining, that's for sure.
Yep.
And here is a.
I mean,
you got to say what you have to say because it's muted when we play the video. So say what you wanted to say. I just saw you talk.
Oh no, but this was like a monumental play from my grandson in the game, and he looked like I told my Giants fans friends. I said, this is the kind of play that Kayvon Thibodeau should be making for the Giants. And then the next day, right after that, he goes back in and he's playing baseball, fall baseball. So it's just. You know, it goes on and on. I mean, when you get bit by the athletic bug, you know, there's never enough, and he can't get enough of it. It's great. I love watching.
That's awesome. Yep. All right, well, with that, we do have some notable passings to report this week.
We do, and from the world of sports, and in particular, New York Rangers fans, which we talked a little bit about before. Eddie Giacomin, he was a long time New York Ranger, and then, you know, subsequently the last 3 years of his career was with the Detroit Red Wings. But when he came back to the Garden as a Red Wing, it was just a very emotional thing. Now, you know, Eddie Giacomin was one of the great goaltenders in league history, and you know, he started off his career. Remember, goaltenders didn't wear masks back then.
No, they didn't.
But I wish the Rangers had done something to bring him back and let him retire as a New York Ranger, I think. But he did get his, you know, just due. He's an icon. His numbers retired. Didn't win a Stanley Cup, but I know Jim Walsh and all these other diehard hockey fans know how important a player he was for the Rangers.
No question.
Yeah, that was a big loss. 86 years old. And of course, from the world of entertainment, we saw Robert Redford passed away last week.
Legend.
And listen, I've watched a ton of Robert Redford movies. Obviously, and I think it was one of our movie recommendation. His only Academy Award nomination for Best Actor was The Sting, which I think is a great, great movie. Him and Paul Newman were awesome, and they were also awesome together in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. But Robert Redford and All the President's Men, and even there was a kind of a didn't make any money, but I was kind of thought it was a good movie. Was The Electric Horseman, but he had such a great career, and he was 89 years old. Like I said, that was a big loss for Hollywood.
Absolutely.
But remember, he did win an Oscar for Best Director for Ordinary People back in 1980, I think was the year. So he was all over the place. He was an environmentalist, and he was responsible for the Sundance Film Festival, which gave opportunities for filmmakers and so forth, and exposure. So big deal for him. And Jim Fanhorst was a linebacker on the San Francisco 49ers, I think 3 Super Bowls. He passed away at age 66.
Wow.
And when somebody mentioned it to me, for some reason, I couldn't place the name. And I don't know how. I never missed any of those games. But he was a starting linebacker for 3 Super Bowl winning teams for the San Francisco 49ers. He passed away at the age of 66. And I know a lot of people won't know this person, but if it's one of those actors, Eli, that if you Google it and you see the face, you know who it is. Patricia Crowley. She was 91 years old. She was, just a character actor, but she actually won an Emmy for there was a show. I know you don't know. Probably 99% of the people watching the show never heard of Please Don't Eat the Daisies. It was a series based on the movie that Doris Day played. But she was a great actress, did all the Love Boats and stuff afterwards, and Dynasty and all kinds of stuff. But she was a good actress, 91.
Wow. And the last one I have was Orko Weisblatt, who played in the Western Hockey League. He died at the age of 25 in a car accident. He was born in 2000.
Yeah, there was actually one yesterday, Eli. And I'm not familiar with his work. Country music singer Brett James died in a plane crash.
Yes, I heard about that too. Yeah.
Yeah, he wrote a lot of songs for Carrie Underwood and so forth like that. So that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it did.
But
yeah. So we had
just a great week last week, and we got a lot of comments and a lot of input from our audience.
Yeah.
And like I said, we thank you guys immensely, and
absolutely,
hopefully the show's coming along, and we cover things. If you have ideas or thoughts, and you want us to share and bring them as part of the show, like I said, behind the curtains, working on getting some really impressive guests on the show. And
there's so much that goes on behind the curtains, between Jim booking, helping booking guests, production stuff, and social. We're working as hard as we can, and we're trying to build it. And we appreciate everybody for tuning in, for joining us, for commenting, and for emailing. We appreciate it. Keep on doing that. We really appreciate it. Send us new ideas. Send us your opinions. We really appreciate it.
You bet. And, just one quick note is, we talk about football, but remember, high school football in New Jersey is awesome.
Oh, yes.
And, my St. Joe's team is 4-0, and Don Bosco is undefeated, and Bergen Catholic is undefeated.
The usuals.
So the schedule now for the last, 5 weeks of the season is what we always term as like an SEC type schedule, because the games are just, the battle of the Titans. And, until, like I said, until somebody knocks Bergen Catholic off the pedestal, they're still the number one team. But check it out, because I St. Joe's won last night, but they're, they got some tough games coming up. And
no question.
Yeah,
it'll be a lot of fun for sure.
You bet. So please send us an email and send us some more comments. Thank you all very much. And Eli, I hope you have a great week and
Absolutely.
enjoy the beautiful weather. And I'm going to go and check out my roses after the show.
Well, that is awesome. All right, everybody. Have a great weekend.
We will. See you guys next week, same time.
All right, same time.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.